In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
Attention Patriots. Red Nation Rising Radio is about to begin.
Please return your Republic to its original position and prepare for takeoff.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Welcome to Red Nation Rising Radio. This program is all about you, your questions, your tweets, your chat room. We're monitoring the chat to catch your questions, so be sure and tell us what you want to know. So you're stuck with me tonight. Your Southern Belle Lou is on vacation. We do have an all-star sit-in for her tonight to be named momentarily. Yeah, sorry, you won't be hearing that smooth female Barry White voice, as JD, co-host of Game On, would say. Stick around after this show to hear Game On with JD and Stacy. Always funny, always informative. The special guest tonight is a man who, God willing, will fire Boehner and take his seat in Congress. He is J.D. Winteregg, candidate for U.S. Congress in Ohio's 8th District. He is John Boehner's primary opponent. But before we go any further here, I want to introduce the K98 Talk program director and host of America Off the Rails, my good friend Rowdy Ricky Robinson. He is kind enough to be joining us tonight to sit in for Lou, do the interview and the Q&A part of the show. Hey, Ricky, what's shaking tonight, my friend? Are you there?
Hey, Jared. Yeah, I'm right here. You know, it's been an interesting day. You know, I took off work early trying to get ready for the interview. You know, a little nervous about being here with all these Red Nation Rising folks. But I think Lou tried to send me a bit of a message. I'm sitting in with it for her tonight, but I think she wanted me to know that I'll never be able to fill her shoes. And I'll let you know why. I came home to a package. I opened it up. It was a pair of pumps. They were white with maroon accents. In case anybody doesn't know, those are the Meredith colors. So I think I was given a hint. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Oh, God. Well, so are you ready to talk to J.D. Winteregg tonight?
I have been looking forward to this all week, almost as much as I was looking forward to the interview that I just finished on my own show. But yes, I'm definitely ready. I want to find a way, any way I can, to help this man unseat Orangey. I'm just saying.
Absolutely. Now, I have an audio clip to play before JD comes on, but I can't go on without mentioning the great job the Red Nation Rising state accounts are doing. As usual, today was quite a day. We got word yesterday about a rally that was going to happen today to counter the Planned Parenthood rally. And they organized, we all joined together, and we ended up hijacking their hashtag, and they had to come up with a new hashtag. So kudos, nice work. We kicked some serious tail on them, and that's an important message to get out there, the depravity of what they do, and state accounts just rocked it. Now, Rick, you've heard the that orange speaker crying before, haven't you?
More often than I care to count.
Okay, well, here's a whole full minute of it.
Really? You're going to do that to me now?
I spent my whole life chasing the American dream, providing for the safety and security of the American people.
Making sure.
This covenant makes us servants of posterity. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, I put myself through school. You come here humbled by the opportunity to serve. That's at the top of our list.
That these kids have a shot at the American dream.
We're sent here not to be something, but to do something. Working every rotten job there was.
Like I did. It's important.
And after 3,000 of our fellow citizens died at the hands of these terrorists, when are we going to stand up and take them on? When are we going to defeat them?
Oh, that was a little bit painful. Before we go to break here, JD is going to be joining us in a minute. I want to play just one quick 10-second quote before we go to break. And you may remember this quote. I think everyone remember this quote.
I do. Listen, I was the Tea Party before there was a Tea Party.
We will be right back in 2 minutes to welcome on JD Winteregg.
This is JD.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, for Game On. Remember,
lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of liberty-conservative conservatism.
Where no one is safe and no one is spared, not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right
Ebola radio strikes again.
Anyway.
Anybody see the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your rant. Let's pop out of the segment.
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com. The staff of K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network is proud to announce that our very own Rowdy Rick Robinson has been selected as one of the top conservative talk show hosts in the nation for his program America Off the Rails. Again, congratulations to Rowdy Rick Robinson for a job well done and another reason to stay connected to K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
This group of tyrants wants to disarm us. They want to deny you and me our freedoms guaranteed under the Constitution of the United States. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Keep your hands off our guns, damn it. My fellow patriots, I've had it, and I'm tired of seeing the Second Amendment treated like the bastard child of the Bill of Rights. All of you have to know that defending freedom is going to be a fight that has no end. And if you're going to stand with me, you can't be afraid to get your knuckles bloody. If you're going to stand with me, you have to be willing to resist any attempt by government to disarm law-abiding people by fighting with the ferociousness of a junkyard dog. Thank you. God bless you, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you very much.
And we are back. It is with great honor and my pleasure to welcome on to the Red Nation Rising Radio, J.D. Winteregg. J.D., you there?
Yeah. How you doing?
Hello, sir. You're on with Rowdy Rick Robinson, and he's in.
Rick.
We're honored to have you on the show. We can't wait to have you interact with the chat room. We're going to have some questions thrown out. So, without further ado,
sure.
let's let it roll.
All right, so JD, I just want to take a second to say good morning and welcome, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, because this show actually is heard worldwide, so I guess it actually is probably morning somewhere. But anyway, just want to take a moment to say welcome to Red Nation Rising Radio. Why don't you take a second, go ahead and tell folks a little bit about yourselves in the event that we have folks that might not know quite who you are and what you're about yet, and then we'll start with the interview.
Okay, so I guess the short of it is I'm challenging Speaker Boehner in the Republican primary next March. I challenged him the last cycle, and we got about 15,000 votes, which is about a quarter of the vote. It was the first time I'd ever run for public office, and we made some waves. And we did the polling around this time to see if it would be possible to beat him, and we found out that it is. So figured up I'd gear up and do it again, and I think I'm the best man for that job. I work at a grain elevator. It's a small business. We do a wholesale grain trade. I used to be a teacher, so I got experience in teaching in agriculture and working with a small business. I've spent a lot of time in academia, so I've seen the other side of things and how they operate. I understand what their end game is, and that was part of the reason I started getting into the whole political scene. So it's just kind of me in a nutshell.
Awesome. So I guess a couple of quick questions I have real quick before we actually, because they're already starting to put some questions into the chat, so I'm already starting to take note of those. So I guess my first question is, because here's the thing, as a voter, I'm finding myself more and more disillusioned because every time we hear the same things from the candidates and they say, vote for me, and I will make sure that when I get there, I make a difference. So my question to you tonight, and it's going to kind of be the overall theme of the interview, is what sets you apart from Boehner? Because he said all of this stuff at one point in time, too, and hasn't really delivered on very much of it at all. So,
right, funny thing about Speaker Boehner, he actually, 24 years ago, so I was 8 years old when he first entered the House of Representatives, I think he was that guy who went in and shook things up. If you remember, he went, I forget what the reason was, but he and a couple other guys, I think Rick Santorum was one of them, went down on the House floor with bags over their heads, and they were making waves. They were doing what they said they would do. Problem is, he's been there 20-something years, and ever since he entered into leadership, he has basically compromised every principle he said he stood for. I'm different because I owe no one anything. I'm not bought and paid for by the Chamber of Commerce. Karl Rove doesn't tell me which way to step. I'm my own man, and I am a man of the people. I know it's a bit cliche, but I've experienced these energy prices necessarily skyrocketing, like President Obama said. I watch the price at the pump fluctuate and cringe every time it goes up 30 cents. I drive my own car and mow my own lawn. I'm one of the people. I understand what we're facing. I understand what the federal government is doing to us. And I have these unique perspectives, having a background with agriculture, small business, and education, and academia. And, I'm a new generation, and I think I'm more informed and more motivated now than ever because I'm on the hook for the tab he's run up.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, I think you made some good points because I think he has been there long enough to where basically he did go into Washington. He did make some waves. He did make some changes. But the thing is, he's been there long enough now that he's become part of the folks that he was originally fighting against. Now, because of some previous conversations we had via email, I actually have a question that will dovetail kind of nicely into one of the things that you wanted to make sure you got a chance to do quite often. So one of the first questions that I actually saw in the chat was from the Illinois State account, and they want to know how you plan to compete with Boehner monetarily, especially considering the fact that we now know he's made millions off of TPP alone.
Right. Well, I don't think it's realistic to expect that I'll match him dollar for dollar. I mean, the guy can essentially print money. I'm smart with the money. Let's put it that way. I live that way. I have to be smart with my own money, so I'm smart with the money that people donate to me. We don't need millions of dollars. We need just enough to get our message out. We've done the polling. We know exactly what the message needs to be, and as long as we can hit those points, we're going to win.
Okay, very good answer to that question. We have another one from Sandy in the chat. As a former educator, what is your position on Common Core?
I'm adamantly opposed to Common Core. I'm glad you asked. We're fighting a battle in our state, actually, with Governor Kasich going around and trumpeting how wonderful Common Core is and how he claims, it's a thing of the states. It's not anything federally. And, he's lying to people. And, you think of Speaker Boehner and his relationship. He was a co-sponsor of No Child Left Behind with Ted Kennedy. That is one of the greatest intrusions of the federal government into our educational system. And it came up with a system of you must reach these points in order to get this amount of federal funding. Well, when the race to the top money started coming in, one of the stipulations was that we had a federally recognized standard put in place in order to be able to accept the money. Of course, Common Core was the only game in town. And we've been kind of forced and pushed into accepting this Common Core standards. And if you actually look at the standards, they're a little more watered down than what they were before. But the problem with it is, since they're the only game in the town, curriculum companies will start aligning curriculum specifically with Common Core. This is kind of a long answer. I mean, the educational background, having worked in academia and seeing what the goals in academia are, I understand what kind of curriculum they're going to use when they align with the Common Core standards, and I know how detrimental that is. So we've got to get rid of the standards altogether to get rid of the federal intervention into our educational system. We need to leave it to local control. We need to leave it to the local communities to decide what's best for their kids.
Well, I heard you mention earlier, that you were giving a long answer. I have to tell you, I haven't been hanging around the Red Nation crew very long, but I can tell you they don't like short answers. So you did good with that. The more detail you give, the better off you're going to be. This is actually from James. He actually popped this one in while you were answering the last one. People across the USA don't seem to like Boehner very much for all of the sellouts that he's been doing lately. Do you happen to know what his popularity is in his home district?
Yeah, it's not that great. I mean, he's a likable guy. He grew up in a bar. He knows how to get along with people. People like him as a person, but they don't like what he's doing policy-wise. And when we did our polling, I'm not going to necessarily give it the specific numbers, but when we did the polling, he polled okay as far as his favorability. But when you looked at the number of people who would reelect him no matter what, it just tanked, which tells us that they like him as a person, but if there's another option to represent them, they're going to go to that other option. So the problem is, in our district, is that, and you see it somewhat at the federal level, not somewhat, you actually see Speaker Boehner doing this, there's this idea of intimidation where Speaker Boehner will fight tooth and nail against the conservatives and not against our president in order to bully them into place. And that happens here on the local level as well. When I first jumped into this thing last time, I was told I'd never work in the state of Ohio again. and people within the party tried to get me to not run. And that's just kind of the mentality they have. They can bully their way, I guess, to get what they want. And so people are a bit afraid somewhat to speak out, and I think it's important that people around the nation show the people in Ohio 8 that we have support, and we will get him out, and the world won't end.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, if I lived in Ohio, I would vote for you. As it stands now, I am actually trying to get some support for you outside of your state, so to speak, because I think Boehner at this point is a national level election that requires our attention because he has got to go. Now, we do have a couple other questions that have come in, and actually at this point they are coming in kind of quickly, so I'm trying to keep up as best I can. This one's Kelvin. Do you think there is a formula for insurgent candidates? For instance, have you done any type of a campaign, or has your campaign studied how Dave Bratt defeated Eric Cantor?
Yeah, we've looked at that, and we've talked to people who've been in that. And, the formula is basically organization and a bit of funding. As long as you have the money in place, you have a competent team in place, then it's possible and doable. You just have to be very focused in what you're targeting, and you have to be very numbers-oriented and dedicated to that and dedicated to the process. So that's something we're implementing right now, and once it's in play all the way, we're looking to beat this guy.
All right, another good question that has come in, and actually I'm kind of curious the answer to this one. What type of support are you getting from the local Tea Party folks?
For the most part, I've got support. The last time I ran, there was a candidate who was put in there, and speculated that he was placed there by a particular speaker, and he did a pretty good job at dividing the Tea Party support. So, the ones who stuck with me are still with me, and the other ones I think are kind of saying that I'm still dedicated to this cause. We haven't heard from that other guy since the election. I think it's gathering as they see how well I'm doing with the fundraising, and I guess as they get angrier and angrier, and they know Speaker Boehner has to go.
Well, I think I can honestly say everybody in the chat agrees with that statement. Do we not, folks? Boehner's got to go. Just saying. So you like I said, I'm in Oklahoma, but if I could do it, you've got my vote.
I appreciate that.
All right, so trying to see. Let's see. Now, I had one that hadn't actually come across yet, and I took some of the more serious questions first. The Illinois accountant had a question that I thought was humorous, so I'm going to go ahead and pose it to you. What exact shade of orange do you think that Boehner is?
I'm not sure. What I do know is during the State of the Union, he did kind of look like he was camouflaged against his chair. So,
dude, I don't know what it was about that. I mean, because it's like he was oranger than usual during that speech. I don't know if maybe it was some sort of new tanning spray that went into overdrive or what.
He plays a lot of golf, and he's got a brand new condo down at Marco Island. So maybe it's the recreational tan. A tan you get when you have too much time on your hands and not really working.
All right, so we are actually, producer Jared's giving me the little window that says 5 minutes to break. Do have a pretty important question that I think we should try to get in there before we do go to break. This is from the Conservative Voice. How can we help promote and support you?
You can go to my website, jdwinteregg.com, and the first thing you can do is sign up to get updates. You can find me in social media, Facebook, Twitter. You can join there and share everything we have, like it, follow it, share everything we post, and, gather your friends. Get 10 people to do the same thing. And if we can keep that process going on, organically, it'll grow faster than you realize.
All right, so I'm going to try to squeeze in another couple of quick questions because, like I said, they're coming in pretty quick. This one's from James. What do you consider Boehner's biggest offense when it comes to his behavior recently?
Geez. That's a good question. Real quick, back to the last question, I forgot to mention, and the guys on my team will kill me. Make sure you donate too if you can, if you have the means. $10, $5, $20, whatever. On the website you can donate. Now I can survive this. They won't kill me. His biggest offense, I think, has been his acquiescence to the left, his lack of fight. And he knows it. He spent $1.5 million last cycle with the slogan, one of us fighting for us. And if you have to spend $1.5 million with that slogan to convince us that you're one of us fighting for us, it probably means you're not one of us. It probably means you're not fighting for us. And that's the case. And that's been his greatest offense. You know, if he had fulfilled his word, his promises, and defunded Obamacare, defunded Planned Parenthood, if he had fought on the executive amnesty, if he hadn't rolled over on the crown of the bus, I mean, the list goes on and on. If he would have stood firm and actually did what he promised us he would do, we wouldn't be in this position. So that's, to me, easily the greatest offense, is his lack of fight.
Yeah, so I definitely think I think you're right. I think his biggest offense has been his complete and total shift to the left. Jared, how are we doing on time? Because I know you posted that a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, we can head on to break. I checked with someone on your team, JD, John, earlier about playing a clip from your 2014 primary, your ad, just for the purpose of humor. I mean, it's history, it's in the past, but it still remains hilarious. Now, do you mind if I play that during this break? The commercial?
No, not at all.
Okay, cool. We're going to go to break, and we're going to hear a 2014 primary ad, probably the best one I heard the whole election season. You can say what you think, too.
You make a great team. It's been that way since the day you met. But your erectile dysfunction? It could be a question of blood flow. Sometimes when a politician has been in D.C. too long, it goes to his head, and he just can't seem to get the job done. Used on a daily basis, Winteregg in Congress will help you every time the moment is right to have your voice heard at the federal level. When using Winteregg, it's important to note that the borders will be secured, Second Amendment rights protected, Obamacare and Planned Parenthood will be defunded, and common sense will be used in solving the nation's problems. Other signs of erectile dysfunction may include extreme skin discoloration,
the inability to punch oneself out of a wet paper bag,
or maintain a spine in the face of liberal opposition, amore de gramine verde, smoking,
and golf. If you have a Boehner lasting longer than 23 years, seek immediate medical attention. Winteregg, because Boehner shouldn't count as chickens before they hatch.
It's Boner.
I'm JD Winteregg, and I approve this message, but I don't golf.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level, or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com.
Wondering why you're up early with us on a Sunday morning making a cocktail? News lately got you drinking? Hung over from the mainstream media by Sunday? We are, and we got you covered.
We sure do. We got your hangover cure for those weekly news blues. So sit back, top off your mimosa, and add some Baileys to that coffee.
Take a match to your copy of the New York Times. Light, funny, and oh yeah, news with booze.
And a lot of laughter.
Welcome to Bloody Marys and Broadsheets.
Abolish the IRS. Take all 125,000 IRS agents and put them on our southern border.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride. Both ends of the ozone burning. Funny how the world keeps turning. Look, Ma, no
And we're back with Rowdy Rick Robinson and J.D. Winteregg.
All right, folks, and we are back. So at this point, JD, I wanted to give you just say welcome back to the show. I gotta say, man, I'd never actually heard that commercial before. Now that is the funniest thing I think I have ever heard. I'm actually gonna go find it on YouTube. I'm just saying. During the break, I gotta say, you guys are throwing a lot at me, but I am doing my best to keep up. I actually stored the one from RNR South Carolina, so I'm gonna go ahead and fire off that one first, and then start digging for the rest of them. South Carolina's question is, what will you do to help balance a budget? Maybe do some sort of a balanced budget amendment? Any thoughts on maybe term limits? Should you get the opportunity to actually become part of Congress?
I support a balanced budget amendment. I think, and this is what I have to deal with being a normal U.S. citizen who's not in the political class. I actually have to make sure I'm not spending more than I'm taking in. And I think it's perfectly reasonable to expect our government to have to adhere to the same rules. So cut spending, lower taxes. You can increase the revenue coming into the federal government if people have more money in their pockets. I'm all for tax replacement. I favor a consumption tax more than anything because power to the people to make the decisions. If the government's not doing something they like, they can withhold their purchasing to limit the revenue coming into the government. So we need to look at all of these different routes to, decrease our debt. That's a daunting task. They've put us in a pretty bad position, our president and Speaker Boehner. So anything I can do to, to cut down on the amount of spending they're doing, I'll do.
Very good answer. Actually, a lot of folks in the chat were chiming in about your stance on term limits. They seem to agree with you there. Now, we do have another question. This one again came from Jim. What was the inciting incident that led you to decide to decide to challenge the most powerful Republican in the House of Representatives? There's got to be a story there. So.
Can you? I didn't catch the first part of the question.
Okay, so was there something that led you to the decision to take on the most powerful Republican in the House of Representatives? Some sort of a turning point for you? Some sort of a moment where you just said, "Okay, this is it. It's got to go, and I'm the guy to do it." We're kind of getting the feeling in the chat. There's got to be a good story there.
I don't know if it's a good story, but I can tell you, I was working on my PhD. I was working on the classes. I finished up the classes, then I quit. That's another story. But I finished up the classes. During these classes, it was when Romney and Obama were running against each other. I was getting kind of a firsthand view as to how progressives view the world and how they view their role in the world and what their end game was. And coming to find out that this is kind of complex. They're socioculturalists, meaning they believe everybody is constructed by the environments around them. So there's not a notion of inherency. It's just every word we speak, every thought we have is because our environment told us to do this. So they're masters of figuring out the environment, how to manipulate the environment, how to manipulate people. And they view one of the greatest evils in the world as capitalism. They think capitalism has been the reason for war, for oppression, for starvation, you name it. They think capitalism is the great evil. And in these classes, I was learning all these ways to, speak to people, to interact with people, in a sense, community organizing. But also, I was seeing how they viewed the world and how they processed things. And I was watching Mitt Romney and his team, and I realized they either had no clue what they were up against, no clue what they were fighting, or they were okay with it and just didn't bother to fight it. And neither one was okay in my mind. So then I started looking at my representative, who was Speaker Boehner, and I saw, in a sense, he was even worse. And as I dug deeper into what he's done, going back to the early 2000s, even with No Child Left Behind, I realized he has no clue who he's fighting or what he's doing in these fights. And I thought, one thing I took out of the classes was this idea of finding your voice, where, if they won't let you talk, you'll figure out a way to talk, and this is the process you go through. in order to find your voice, and that's kind of what I did in deciding running against Speaker Boehner, and it's gotten us to this point. It's not a great story, but it's. I was in the lion's den, and I decided I wanted to find a way to fight the lions. This is the best way to do it.
Yeah, that's actually a really good story. It actually compares pretty well with a lot of folks that I know that have decided to throw their hat in whatever ring they're in, is because they took a look around, realized nothing was the way they thought it should be, and they decided to make a difference. Got a question coming out from the Red Nation Rising Louisiana account. What, in your opinion, should America do about ISIS?
First of all, we need to recognize that evil exists in this world. What I was talking about earlier with the socioculturists, and they don't believe in this idea of inherency. They don't believe that evil exists. They believe that people are reacting to capitalistic, oppressive action. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's just pure evil. And what we need to do is deal with it. We need to support our neighbors or our friends in Israel. We need to do whatever we can not to allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon, which looks like we're doing a bang-up job on that. And we need to be sure that we are letting our military do what they know how to do. Having friends who have been abroad fighting, I know very well, because I hear them talk about it, I know very well how much their hands are tied. And they say if we were just allowed doing what we knew to do, this would be over in a matter of months. So we need to trust that our guys in the military know what they're doing. We need to recognize that evil exists, and we need to fight it.
So we're going to take a quick break from politics just for a second with this question. This is from Jim. Have you lived in the district that you're wanting to serve your entire life? And what is Troy, Ohio like? Jim travels a lot and likes to know things about parts of the country he hasn't seen yet. So,
yeah, sure. So I don't know if I've lived in a district, like my whole life I haven't. I lived in France for a while. I lived in Alabama for a while. I grew up, I don't know if it was in the district or just outside of it, but at least next to it, or near it in some capacity, for most of my life. And in Troy, Ohio, it's small town America. We've got one diner here that every single presidential election, a president stops by and eats it. It's Kay's Diner. Really good burgers, wonderful shakes. They actually give you kind of two shakes in one. So it's just kind of a down-home type of place, and you get outside the city, and it's just cornfields, bean fields, very agricultural.
All right, so another question coming in. Actually, I'm not sure where this one came from because it doesn't have the tag on it. But so I guess I'm going to phrase this one a little bit differently. Do you feel like in your district that people are waking up to what's going on around them? Do you think you'll be able to duplicate what happened with Dave Bratt in Virginia?
Yeah, I mean, they're frustrated. And a lot of them, because of the party structure and just how it's been organized and how Boehner has used his power in the area, the participation rate within the party is very low. And it's kind of incestuous, it's just their friends and family that are in the party. And people are waking up to that, and they're starting to realize that they can actually have a say in this, on a very local level. And they're working to kind of, I guess, I don't want to say infiltrate, but recover their party at the local level. And they're doing this with the thought in mind that they'll be able to endorse people who are not John Boehner when the endorsement time comes around. So they're fed up. A lot of them don't know where to turn, but they're figuring it out. And, hopefully I'll be able to facilitate that as a run and be able to point them in the right direction, and we can ultimately cut the head off the snake.
Well, we definitely hope so. And like I said, all of us here are willing to do whatever we can to help. Now, back to the balancing budget. You mentioned that earlier. We have a question in the chat that kind of goes back to that from Dread Pirate Ron. Pretty loyal guy to K98, so I want to give him a shout out. But yeah, he wants to know, would balancing the budget include doing away with baseline budgeting and require federal debts to justify every dollar spent, i.e. no more shrimp on treadmills?
No more shrimp on treadmills. Absolutely. I mean, we have these just insane, I guess, grants that we give out to these studies that make absolutely no sense. We need to get rid of that. We need to pare it down to what it was originally intended to do constitutionally. And it's very limited. I mean, the Constitution lists the powers of the federal government, and the federal government can't go beyond that. So you think of healthcare. Healthcare is not an enumerated power. They have no role or no business being involved with our healthcare. So we need to get rid of this frivolous spending and realize that it's the people's money. And that's one thing we need to do too, is we need to get out of this mindset that these people in D.C. are the ones giving orders. We're the authority. We're the ultimate authority. The people are in this country, and we need to look at it as such. So those are our employees in D.C., and they need to start doing what we tell them to do. And as soon as the people realize that, I think things are going to change, and money's going to be spent a lot better.
All right, so we have one from Big John, and this, I'm curious to hear your answer on this one, because I think they're a complete waste. But have you ever seen anything of value come from the United Nations?
No. No. I mean, that's about the only answer you can give. They are part of this, they're a big progressive group that aligns with academia. It's a bunch of academics running it, who believe that capitalism is the evil, the great evil. So anything they can do to, I think, erode our power, promote socialism, they call it social justice, they're going to do. And they take a lot of our money doing it, and they shouldn't have access to that. So I'm not a fan of the UN, let's put it that way.
All right, well, great answer in my book. Okay, so let's fast forward for just a second. Let's pretend that it is January. You've just taken your oath. What's the first thing you're going to tackle?
Well, it depends on who's president. But realistically, the first thing I want to go after is overturning the Obama agenda. Everything he implemented, every illegal executive order, it all needs to be overturned. It can't get a chance to get ingrained in our culture and in our federal system. We've got to work to overturn that. So I think to do that, maybe before that, the first thing I do is hunt out the people in the House Freedom Caucus and get to know them, kind of align myself with them in order to be able to have a greater say in the politics and what goes on. Because, politics happens. It's a game there. You got to play it right to beat it. So I would align myself with them and then work to push them to overturning the Obama agenda.
All right, a follow-up question from the Illinois account, because that was the one that asked a second ago. What are your stances on religious freedom? In your opinion, do Christians need to take a stronger stance since we've been under attack a lot lately?
Of course we do, and that's part of the problem is we haven't been standing strong. We've allowed the federal government to come in and dictate what we can and can't say from the pulpit, and that's not right. The whole freedom of religion is in there to protect us from the federal government, not the other way around. So we need to, as Christians, and I'm a Christian, but we Christians need to stand up for what we know is right. And there's a verse that I like in particular, James 4:17. He who knows what's right but does nothing, to him it's a sin. I think a lot of us have been doing nothing. And, for me, I knew I had to do something. And I'm seeing kind of an awakening within the church after this recent Supreme Court ruling. So I'm just hoping that continues.
All right, so I completely agree, and I think you're right. I think it is time for us to actually stand up and realize that we have rights too, and it's time for us to be able to exercise them. Now, enough of my editorializing. Who do you think would make a good Speaker of the House? That's from Miss Kathy in the chat.
Jim Jordan. He says he doesn't want it, and I think that makes him the perfect candidate for it. He's kind of a local guy. He's from the district next door, and I admire him. And despite his vote for Boehner as the speaker this time around, I think maybe he was trying to play the political game. I think he's right on with a lot of issues, and his family has a reputation around here, the Jordans, as being super tough. And I'm sure of it that he's included with that, and he's someone I would be happy to follow.
All right. Well, yeah, actually, seems like that might be a really great choice. Okay, this is from Conservative Voice of the People. I'm assuming by now, JD, that you've heard of the shooting that happened today. Do you have any thoughts on that? The specific direction they're going is especially with Wright Air Force Base that is located in Dayton.
Are you referring to the ones in Tennessee, Chattanooga?
Yeah, Chattanooga.
I mean, I haven't really seen too much on that, other than 4 Marines died, and obviously our prayers will go to their families. But I've got friends who worked at the base nearby, about 20 minutes down the road, and it's always a concern that something like this will happen. But I think it goes back to that question: what would we do about ISIS? Well, we've done nothing, and I think as soon as we start doing something about it, we'll see attacks like this subside.
All right. I just want to take a moment to say thoughts and prayers with all the families that are impacted there. Now, we do have to take a break real quick, but I want here in just a couple minutes, but I want to throw one more at you if we can get it in. So it's November 2016. You're about to pull the lever. Who are your top 3 choices?
For president?
Yep.
I don't know. Part of my issue is I feel like a lot of them have been uninspiring. A lot of them are using poll-tested words, focus group phrases. I haven't seen the reason why you see Donald Trump rising as quickly as he is because he doesn't care and he's saying what everybody's thinking. And I'm looking for that to happen. I want to see Ted Cruz do something like that. I don't really have a top 3, to be honest. I'd be leaning towards Cruz right now, but he still hasn't told me, so just count me undecided.
All right, so we've got you down for undecided. All right, I know we're about to have to take a break, and I know it's been going all the way through the chat, but I promised I'd give you a couple of times to go ahead and give out the link on the air as well. So why don't you tell folks where they can make donations?
Right, they can go to jdwinteregg.com. That's winter like the season, egg like the food, and it's all one word, jdwinteregg.com. You can donate there, and you can sign up to volunteer, and you can read my blog entries, and you want to find me on Facebook and Twitter as well. Twitter, my handle is @JDWinteregg, and my Facebook one is really long. It's the, let me think, something like the committee to elect, JD Winteregg for Ohio's 8th Congressional District. That's what it is. So on Facebook, look for JD Winteregg for Ohio's 8th Congressional District, and on Twitter, @JDWinteregg.
That is a really long Facebook name. Just saying.
It is.
All right, so I think I think it's pretty close to break time. If my math is correct, it should be rolling over to just about any time now, I think.
Thanks for joining us, JD.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, and I'm happy to come on anytime you want.
Great, we'll take you up on that. We're going to head to break. We'll be back in about 2 minutes.
K98Talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98Talk.com.
This is JD.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern for Game On. Remember,
lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of liberservative conservatism.
Where no one is safe and no one is spared. Not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right
Ebola
anyway.
radio strikes again.
Anyway.
Anybody see the host monkey?
Today.
Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your rant. Let's pop out of the segment.
Has to do with
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com. The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get
All right, we're back to Red Nation Rising Radio. What a great Q&A session that was. You got to love Town Hall Radio. Rick.
Can I just say this group is amazing, but trying to keep up with all you folks in the chat is like running a marathon. I'm just saying. I don't know how Lou does it. I'll be glad when she's back from vacation.
Well, I'll tell you, we really appreciate you stepping in for her tonight. And we'll return the favor.
Oh, definitely looking forward to it. You guys have actually become really good friends of the whole network station and my show. I mean, at this point, you're on with me almost as much as I am. You were actually on for half the show tonight, and you usually hang out with me on Mondays. So you're already returning the favor, so no worries there at all.
Excellent. And next week, we have John LaRosa coming on the show. He's a political consultant. He's a co-founder of 4-Tier Strategies, and he works with JD closely. Very closely, and we'll get some additional insight into that congressional race and our high hopes of getting rid of the orange cream puff that sits there with that gavel. In fact, he really needs to have that gavel yanked out of his hand. Rick, did you have any announcements?
I'd like to put that gavel just for the record.
Yeah. Did you have anything you wanted to add before we wrap up tonight?
Well, I know we are getting pretty close. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to sit in. It has been amazing. Watching this grow the way it has, even before it actually you guys all became a part of the K98 Talk family. I just want to say this in front of all of the Red Nation Rising crew. As far as I'm concerned, K98 Talk is a family. These folks will have a place to do this show for as long as I have the ability to have access to the internet and for as long as they wish to do it. And I want to thank every single one of you for tuning in on a regular basis with them every week. Thank you. It means a lot that so many of you are not only tuning in here, but starting to check out the rest of the programming. What we're building, I'm crazy enough, I would do it if nobody was listening, but the fact that there are so many of you that are starting to tune in on a regular basis, I just want to, since I don't have this platform that often with 30 some odd people hanging out in a chat room and Lord knows how many people listening because I haven't had a chance to pull up the numbers. I just want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you because like I said, I'm crazy enough. I do it by myself, but it's great to know that we are reaching folks and we are making a difference. So that's my only thought to you tonight. Make sure that if you want to see a good shot at Orangey Orange, otherwise known as the Speaker Boner, to be unseated, that you find a way to help JD. Give your time, give your money, make phone calls, reach out to him. If there's anything that you think you can do to help him, he's going to need your help. He's going to need all of our help. And that's actually one of the reasons why this platform was created.
And, it can be something as simple as retweets or sharing posts on Facebook. That goes a long way. It really does. When things spread and, he gets 20 retweets on one of his, as opposed to 100, that branches out to thousands more people. So I'm not loaded with cash. I can't take a sack full of cash and dump it on his doorstep, but I'll work my tail off to support him in any way I can. I will also bust my ass to support Kelly Ward, who's going to try to unseat McRhino. We have there's a few other races that look like Debbie Wasserman Schultz is getting challenged. There's some races that, they're very important. And Rick, thanks for your kind words. Thanks for filling in. Thanks everyone for listening. Lou will be back next week. And we'll see you then. In the meantime, keep
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.